Let's talk Last of Us episode 4. As we do, we're going to talk about it with spoilers for the episode, but not for the video games. We will have a video game discussion, but at the very end of the episode, everything is signposted in the show notes in terms of chapters and timestamps and stuff like that as well. But before we get into the episode itself, we will recap it to put you back into the mindset of what it was. And this is episode 4, day 1, it's called, and we flash back to 2018 in a Fedra van where we meet Isaac, who plays out a scenario. Let's call a spade a spade. We've all fantasized about in murdering all of his co-workers with a grenade so he doesn't have to hear their weird shit ignorant stories anymore. I'd fucking join the revolution too if I didn't have to listen to fucking Sharon blathering on about how her husband gets gassy in the evening. That's totally fair. Ellie and Dina wander through Seattle, which I feel looks like Kurt Cobain imagined that it looked like when he'd walk around it in the 90s. They spot a TV station with Dina helping Ellie kind of realize that wandering uphill in broad daylight somewhere heavily armed isn't the brightest idea, and you have to respect this because Dina learned about the high ground without ever getting to watch Revenge of the Sith. Think about that. They never got to see it. The last Star Wars they got was fucking Attack of the Clones. Like, think about that. That's the true apocalypse that we have here. They haul up in a music store as Ellie becomes the first person to ever think, what song do I need to make this girl ride me? And arrives at Aha's Take on Me. But it works. Can't argue with success. Maybe because in this world music has become a relic of the past, but she played the hand she was dealt and she played it well, and you can't argue with success, like I said. We see that Isaac has a naked, tiny penis Seraphite chained up while giving him his Ezekiel 25:17. The same wolf will come scars again, motherfucker. I dare you. I fucking double dare you, bin. Wasn't as catchy as when Sam Jackson did it, but it ends the same way for a poor Scar and is, I cannot repeat this enough, very small penis. Ellie and Dina run into some wolves at the TV station and have to murder one before hiding out in the subway tunnel while being hunted. Fortunately and unfortunately for them, the tunnel is quickly besieged by a horde, one of whom bites Ellie as she helps Dina escape. Most would see it as a death sentence, but to Ellie, this is Tuesday. She's more biting her at this stage than the girl in your secondary school who constantly wore polo necks. Clodagh Hickey by name, Clodagh Hickey by nature. Am I right? We all knew one. We all fucking knew one. They escaped to an abandoned theater where Dina was like, well, I was planning to bang you, but now I've got to kill you. And Ellie's like, no, babe, I got that immunity, babe. It's all, let's just come over here and chill on this cozy couch. Dina was all right to chill and found a couch of her own, thank you very much. But when she saw that Ellie didn't die, was like, I'm pregnant, which dick move, by the way. Ellie's just shared with you that she's the key to saving humanity, and you had to go and one up her story. You'll still be pregnant for 9 months. Let her have her fucking moment. She's sharing with you, being vulnerable. Anyway, somehow you're probably wondering, if you haven't watched the episode and only listened to this recap, this ended in sexual intercourse. It made more sense when you watched it, but it was a very good episode. That's episode 4 of The Last of Us season 2, day 1. Kev, I feel like we have a lot to discuss with the video game because it was a very video game coded episode.
Yeah,
We're going to try talk around that for the time being. And first off, we'll just get to, did you like this episode or not? Did you enjoy it?
I was very entertained by this episode. Yeah, it was
Yes.
like you said, it was like watching someone play a video game.
Yeah.
I thought the cinematography more than anything else in this episode was the standout. It was the star of this episode. That one shot of Ellie when she starts playing the guitar first, it's gorgeous. What her in the music shop with the light coming into the background and just the nature taking over the building is one of the most stunning shots I've seen in anything recently. It looks like it's from the game. It's brilliant, like, and just great action sequences. We got introduced to Isaac. Was that Josh Peck at the start as well, from Drake and Josh fame, who was
I don't
mouthing
know.
off? I think it is.
Really?
It was the guy. It was the guy mouthing offloads that was pissing Isaac off, basically. Um, I'll confess now, I was like, I've only played up to a certain point of the game.
Okay.
So Isaac is new to me. I I don't really know his deal, but I fucking love Jeffrey Wright so much that he's just unreal on screen. And yeah, I'm very intrigued by his character because he seems, I don't know, just cruel by the time you kind of get to him in kind of more modern day.
Yeah.
Um, how he's torturing him, like even this completely disregarding you've killed kids, we've killed kids, just completely disregarding that and justifying it as well. Um, but yeah, I thought like in terms of action and just cinematography, this was a stunning episode. It didn't move the story on a massive amount, but that's
Mm.
okay. I'm okay with having an episode like that.
And I think this was needed for
Mm,
the season. We needed a shot in the arm and to kind of remember why
yeah,
we're watching,
yeah.
and that this is like a zombie story as well and an action story and stuff like that as well. It was really good for resetting the stakes. It's a functional episode. It's not one that I feel that we'll talk about. I feel um it's not going to go down as episode like 3 of season 1 and stuff like that. It's not the
Mm,
legendary one, but we already have episode 2 for that, you know. So and I feel like they've got a lot left in the tank, kind of knowing how it plays out. Um, there were bits that didn't work and bits, especially from a gamer standpoint, that I'm like, I have notes. But I'm a nerd, so that's okay. But I did enjoy it, and I thought the performances are great here, and it kind of put the season back on a good trajectory of no, this is an action show, shit's gonna happen.
yeah.
Um, there are also bits that I'm concerned about. There are bits that I'm like, did you think about Joel at all while you were watching this episode?
Only when he is mentioned when she plays guitar, and she's like, Joel taught me, but
Hmm.
that's kind of about it though.
Yeah. And that's kind of the bit where I'm a little bit where I feel like there's going to be enough, but like, and I know kind of there's some we I don't feel like we've seen the last of Pedro Pascal in this season. I feel like there's going to be some bits where we see more Joel.
Yeah.
Just a hunch. That's just a pure guess. Um, but but like again, they need to remind us like this is Joel's revenge story. Like he was important. It feels like they're kind of just going on a road trip, and it works from that standpoint. Like, I thought about like why did Arya and the Hound? Why were they going on a road trip? Do you remember off the top of your heads? You might if you think about it, but off the top of your head, when I ask you straight away, do you remember?
um, is he bringing her somewhere? He's bringing her to. Is he to the Queen? I think is he.
He's bringing her back to the Starks, and they
Oh,
get
to the
there, and
Starks. Yes, yes,
yeah,
yes.
yeah, yeah. So that's why they're traveling, but it didn't matter why they were traveling because they liked the road. And it's working on that standpoint of a road trip of characters we like, and there's intrigue in there, and there's threat and stuff like that as well. I don't know if it's working as much as a Joe revenge story, and we're emotionally where we need to be, and I think they need to dial that up and remind it. So
Mm,
there's elements that I have notes on. I don't think it's a perfect episode, and I don't think the direction is fully on point right now. Because we need to be thinking about Joel more. But like I said, that's why I asked that question, and you're like, yeah, when his name was literally said. Um, but his name
yeah,
is literally said once in this episode.
you're
So
right.
I already forgot Pedro Pascal exists, but actually it's the his death is the driving force for everything we see.
I kind of feel
Um,
like Ellie needs to be a bit more angry and kind
Yeah,
of
yeah,
yeah.
yeah. Whereas tonally, it just seems like does Ellie remember him, or is it just like is she like again? Because we haven't seen that much from her. Like, and again, they're gonna parse that out, I suppose, over the next few episodes. But I just need that to be the thing because that's what this is. This is a revenge
Mm.
story. You know what I mean?
How long has
Um,
it been in the show
three
since he died?
months, and
Three
however
months.
long it
Okay,
took them to travel to get to Seattle
to
for all the
Seattle.
jazz.
Right.
Yeah. So it has been
Mm.
a while, but like. I need to feel her need to get revenge. I need to know why she's there. Like,
Yeah.
there's bits in this where like they hook up and Ellie starts talking about a future with Dina. And I'm like, okay, so just go do that. Like, because you seem to want it. You seem to be really into the idea. So go do that instead of going on a murder spree with your now pregnant girlfriend. You know what I mean? Like, and I'm not feeling why she needs to do that. And again, the show can address that. They have
Yeah.
time, but I need that to be put front and center. One thing I thought really worked, I agree. We met Isaac, aka Jeffrey Wright, who reprises his role from the video games as well, much similar to how they used the actress who played Marlene last year in
Oh,
The Last.
he plays
He
Isaac in
plays
the game as
Isaac
well, does
in
he?
this, yeah,
Okay.
and he's a massive value add. Um, you were a big fan of this. What was your thoughts on kind of Isaac? And then now you're kind of freely speculating because you don't know where it goes.
Mm.
So how are you feeling towards all that? Because now I'm actually interested in getting your views as someone who doesn't know where the plot is leading.
Yeah, like I thought it was an incredibly strong opening
Mm.
of someone who's just like had enough of Fedra's bullshit. Um, but then by the time you get to the torture scene, it felt like a Tarantino movie or something like that.
Yeah.
Like the dude is just cold, and I'm like, I don't know what your end game is in terms of why do you hate these guys so much? Like that's not really kind of said yet. And I'm sure we'll find out, and I'm sure it's going to
Yeah,
be
we may
probably.
not, because I can't remember off the top of my head. So we may not.
Oh,
Don't expect that.
oh shit.
They might fill in
Okay.
the blanks in the show, though. But yeah, I actually don't remember now that I think about it. I think it just
Yeah.
was one of these things where like one person killed one and then they killed another, and it's tit for tat. Like they kind of played that out,
A
like
little
in
bit.
that
Yeah.
argument
Yeah.
that they had, where it's like, but you did this, but you did this, but you killed children, but you killed, you know what I mean? And it's
And neither of
become
them
that
know
level
how
of
it
war
started.
where you can't
Yeah.
remember when the first shot was fired. But City of God does this story great, where it's like, did you ever see City of God?
No.
One of my top 10 favorite movies of all time, Brazilian Goodfellas. It is fantastic. Treat
Okay.
yourself. Um, but it tells that story really well of gang wars, and it's like no one even remembers why we're fighting, but like one side has to be completely eliminated, or we're going to keep fighting until everyone dies. And it tells that story really well, and I think that's the wolves and the seraphites. It's important to remember Isaac is the leader of the wolves, and they've mentioned this as well. They spoke about him at the grave in the first episode of this season, the first scene of the season, where they're like, "We can go join Isaac in Seattle." So we
Mm.
know that much, and obviously he came from a federal background. That's brand new material, by the way. So again, now what you have to consider is he's the person leading Abby and her crew. So what are your thoughts on all of that?
Um,
Or are you, and you can freely speculate where you think this is going to go, because again, you're flying blind now.
like I'm speculating just from what I think. I think he's like started off um, trying to do good and has become obsessed with killing these dudes and taking care of them to the point of like you are like that line, especially that the prisoner said to him, where he's like, "More of your people join us every day."
That was so good.
I loved that, and he was
Yeah,
like, "But none of ours are joining you." And
yeah.
I was like, "Oh, that's an interesting story or plot line. If they're being
But
people are being
the
converted."
counter stakes that Isaac builds out is are so compelling. Where it's like we've got automatic weapons in hospitals, and I'm like,
Yeah,
both are really good. You're selling me like I'm drinking the Kool-Aid from both sides here.
yeah. I thought the look in Isaac's face though when he said that, he was like, "Oh shit!" I didn't even thought about that. But he's
Yeah.
like, even if it's not happening, that's in his head now as well. Um, I'm,
And there's
I
an
don't.
urgency. I think that's important too. I think that's what that scene told us. He's now he killed that Seraphite, both realizing when he held out his hand, that he's not going to give in. So there's no point in torturing him. It's just going to be torture for the sake of it. But it was in. I think that's something that I took away from this. It was in rage. He made a
Mm,
great point that Isaac doesn't know. So there is a measure of urgency now in Isaac. There is like we can't just keep doing this war. We're not going to outlast them, and I think that's something that Isaac has taken away as I need to do something and I need to do it fast.
yeah, but
You know,
I really hope we do. I know you said don't hold up hope for getting a reason why, but I'd really love a reason why.
The show is the type of show that could fill it out. You know, there is a
Yeah.
gap there to fill it out of who fired the first shot, where they come from. This show does flashbacks all the time. It started this episode with flashback.
Mm.
So yeah, and a really effective one, and it does it in such a simple way. And like it's show don't tell. Really, I love that cold open because you don't need all of Isaac's story. You don't need, and then he went to do this, and then he did this, and this is why he had the decision. You don't need to tell that in a
Yeah.
15-minute kind of montage. You can just have him listen into one conversation of a federal officer to know why he's like, fuck this shit, fuck them all.
Yeah.
You know, and I thought that was really effective. I also just love Jeffrey Wright as well. Jeffrey Wright for years was cast in kind of the same kind of role, and it was the role you saw him if you watch Westworld. It was kind of this nervous, kind of nerdy, intellectual kind of black man who was really smart but didn't know how to kind of do it. But between this and American Fiction, I'm
Yes.
like they're really he's getting to show his range now, and this he was pure badass, and we've just never got to see that side of Jeffrey right here, and I loved it. I thought he was fantastic. He lived up to it, and it's almost hard to imagine him as his Westworld character here, and that's the mark of a great actor. Where I'm
Mm.
like, I logically know they're the same, but I cannot connect them. He's completely become this character in the same way he becomes every character that he's been, but somehow it's the same guy, and he's just fantastic. And what
He
an ad
just
that guy.
elevates every single thing that I've seen him in.
Yeah.
He's just that good.
We had Ellie and Dina exploring Seattle, and we kind of got a taste for what life was like beforehand, and then is like now. Um, and then that kind of culminated in a big scene, an iconic scene, and one that was also in the video game. So compare what it's like in the video games to this when we talk about the video games. But um, what was your thought? Because this was an important
I
part.
thought there was some dumb shit that happened.
Okay.
Ellie opening up the tank and making that massive sound by like letting the lid fall was like Jesus Christ. And Dina's like, "What the fuck are you doing?" 2 minutes later, Dina goes into a music shop and starts playing the fucking drums, and you're like, "What are you doing?"
But they no, I'm going to defend that a little bit, okay? Because Dina has said, thanks to your experiment. I love the way Dina coaches Ellie. They're really establishing them as complimenting each other in a way like
Yeah.
it's a show invention. Um, where Ellie started on or Dina started coaching her and was like, and why would we go up there? And then he's like, just fucking tell me. And then she's like, no, I'm gonna make you think it. And then Ellie's like, because then they're on the high ground. And I'm like, but Dina then said, she goes, as you've expertly shown with your experiment just there, there's no one around. So she knew she could make noise. I don't feel like that was just
Mm.
um, yeah, so
It's
just to defend it a little bit, because don't go near Dino. I'm in love with Isabel Merced.
oh,
I'm
she is she was the best. Well, actually, Jeffrey Wright probably was maybe the best, but she's definitely up there in terms
she's
of
the start of the season for me. Like
unbelievable.
she's what I'm going to remember. I don't know. We've got half the season left, but right now she's what I'm going to remember from this as like
Yeah,
just the home run win for what she's done with Dina is just incredible. I'm
yeah,
in love with. Okay, I'm in love with her as Dina. Do you know what I mean?
yeah.
Like I'm in love with the character in exactly the way I should be. I'm like, you seem like a bit of a hot mess and a walking red flag, but I would walk right into that red flag like a bull. I'm enraptured with her, but not like as the actress, even though she is gorgeous, obviously, and to be able to play that character, you have to be sound in a way. You have to understand soundness at such a core level,
Mm.
to be that charming. But um,
She just
it's
glows in every scene she's in. She's
yeah,
great.
she's made me fall in love with Dina, and I
Yeah,
get it from Ellie's standpoint. Like she's brilliant.
yeah. Even just the
Um,
way she looks at Ellie in the music when she's playing the guitar, you're like,
yeah,
find yourself someone who looks at you like that.
yeah, yeah.
Like it's really lovely, and like that was a great moment I think in the episode as well of just of Eddie playing, and they let it like they didn't kind of just rush through it. They got her to play the pretty much first chorus of the song, and
Yeah,
have Dina just react to it then as well. I thought it was great in a really
yeah,
beautiful setting too.
yeah,
Because then you get because you get that like little kind of just rest before all fucking hell breaks loose down in the tunnels then.
Yeah,
which
thoughts on,
I
on how this executed, because this essentially just became the rest of the episode was just the extended love story of Ellie and Dina
mm.
and how they get towards obviously the immunity reveal, the pregnancy reveal, and then the um reveal yourself reveal. Uh, um,
I love
and,
the action
and it got
sequence.
there through the tunnel. Like, what was your thoughts on all of that?
Every time they do anything action sequence, like the first episode was it the first episode, of the second one where they had Abby running from the horde down the hill, and then there was the mesh fence bit of it as well. That this reminded me of that as well. They just do claustrophobia um, with the amount of the horde that are there, and just panic really really well in this show. Like especially, I love the use of the turnstile that wouldn't move properly. The tension that created, I loved it because even though you know, well, Ellie has to be okay, but you don't know about Dina, and
Yeah.
I don't know about Dina, so I'm like, oh my god, I can't have her killed here,
Yeah.
and heart was in my mouth the entire time with that scene. Loved it.
Like, are you watching The Walking Dead? Are you watching any of or did you go out on that? Because I know you're a big zombie story lover.
I tapped out of Walking Dead about season 8.
I'm
It just became
still
too samey.
suffering. I'm still suffering through it somehow. And I watched the first episode of The Walking Dead, Dead City, season 2, which came out. It was out this weekend, and it was such a poor miscalculation on their side to air The Walking Dead at the same time as The Last of Us because man, it's
Oh
bad.
no.
And it's bad in the way that like the characters are all cartoon characters. They'll do scenes which nobody would they'll speak in monologues in ways no one would ever speak, and it's cheesy and people act like they never act and the scenes are just totally set up and the zombies seem to only show up at the most dramatic time and stuff like that as well. And contrasting it to this scene, I'm like, and again, you have to remember this isn't purely a zombie TV show. Like that, a zombie TV show is just the backdrop to it. You know what I mean? And then it's the everything else and the character beats and the revenge and this and that and the human emotions that drive the show. But when they do zombies, fuck me, they're brilliant. You know,
Yeah.
you have like the tendrils, like even something as small as like throwing that you're not taking into account.
Loved that. That's such a
Like, yeah,
unique way of alerting a horde to you because you're not thinking at all. That
yeah,
you threw down a little light and then the tendril reacted to it.
it's just
Love it.
such an electric idea to add to that genre that somehow no one's ever thought about that. And it also goes with the science of how the fungus works and stuff like that as well. Like there's actual scientific chops, which is fucking terrifying to everything they're
Mm,
doing. And this is what it would look like if it became possible to infect humans, which it could do with global warming, terrifying. But that all adds to it. The way they act,
yeah.
the way they behave, the way they don't care about it. Like you kind of expect like oh, they're gonna attack those guys, and then Ellie and Dina are gonna just sneak away. But it's like, no, that's not. They're just humans. They smell them, they hear them. As soon as they make a noise, they're gonna
Mm,
just change tack and stuff like that as well. There's an intelligence to them as well. Just really, really good and really intense. Really love that scene. And then Ellie and Dina get it on, and there's kind of revelations of Ellie's immune, Dina's pregnant, and then there's the whole love scene. Thoughts on how that kind of played out?
it was fine. I don't
Yeah.
think it was particularly well earned. It felt a bit rushed to me.
Okay.
Like you said at the start, it didn't like I know like Dina just found out she's pregnant and she's probably very emotional about it, and she does say that I suppose in it that she thought she'd lost Ellie.
Yeah.
And I get that, but it just felt very, very rushed to me.
Mm.
Um, because I don't know, just the way they were. Maybe I'm just ignorant to it, but like just the way they were playing it seemed like that was just a one-off thing that happened to them, and they were both fine with it. Like
Okay.
you never felt like one of them was like, oh shit, I really wish they confessed their feelings there. And
Mm.
I never got that from either of them.
Yeah.
Even when Ellie's playing guitar and Dina's like crying, you're like, that never actually really occurred to me. I just thought she was just hearing someone play guitar for the first time in forever.
I don't know. I definitely knew that Laudina's fallen in love, but also I know the source material and I know the
Mm.
story and stuff like that. Yeah, I do. I agree with what you're saying. And if I didn't know that they were a couple, I don't know if I would have been as on board for it. Like they tried to make this a will they won't they, and that's an adaptive change. But also the story of Ellie and Dina is just kind of a backdrop to the bigger story as well. It's not the A plot in this entirety
Mm.
of the story they're trying to tell. Um, but it's a TV show, so there needs to be a bit of tension and drama that they add to it. Um, but again, yeah, it's just like they just got to it and it was fine and the logic all made sense and it was good. I had notes as well. I'm not saying that I totally wanted to see a full on sex scene or anything here, but like they started stripping each other and then woke up fully dressed. And I'm just like, you're better than that Last of Us. You're better than that cheesy TV shit. Like,
Do you know
not
what I
even
found
a
was a bit
tear.
dodge as well? Was she had just gotten bitten, so there's still blood flying around from her arm. You're like, yeah, you're immune, but Dean is not.
Yes, yeah. Yeah, yeah. There's a severe lack of care there as well. But
Yeah.
look, it is what it is. Dina's out on an event on a revenge mission while pregnant. You know what I mean? Like for as more careful that she is than Ellie, it doesn't mean she's the most careful. So there's
Mm.
that too. Okay, that's
I did like the last shot though. I would say of just them holding hands, being like, "We're going to do this together." I thought that was great when they looked over at all the explosions happening, and the terrified look they both have. Like, "Fuck, we have to go into this now to get to Abby." No, it wasn't even Abby. It was one of the girls that was with Abby. They hear on the radio. Um, but yeah, they look at all these explosions, this big gunfight happening, and they're like, yeah, we're going to there. So that was a good way to end the episode, I think, and
yeah.
get you excited for
And
next week.
Fine episode did its job. It's
Yeah.
episode four of a 7 episode season, and I thought as an episode four, which moved the plot along sufficiently and got us to where we need to be, yeah, it was good. I do have some notes though, but the notes I have are about the video game, so we're gonna get to that. So I'm gonna give you for anyone half listening, I'm gonna do some sound effects. There we go. Yeah, okay.
Pew, pew, pew,
We're gonna do a
pew.
heartbeat. We're gonna do a siren. We're gonna have people randomly clap. Yeah, say a joke. Not you. Say a joke. No, not the heartbeat. That puts too much pressure on it. Kev, say something funny.
And his name is John Cena.
Those sound effects exist for a reason. They are your spoiler warning. If you haven't played the game, you cannot say that we didn't do everything in our power to make you aware that we're going to be talking with spoilers. Now, if this is the part where we leave you, thanks for joining us. We'll be back on the weekend with Stargears, and we'll be back next week to talk about episode 5. But if you have played the video game and you're okay with spoilers, I have something to say on Take on Me. Okay,
Mm.
I have notes. I remember when this is like an iconic part from the game, okay? And I thought the look and the vibe and everything you described as a success here, totally agree with you. I thought it actually looked better than it did in the game. I thought
Mm.
they knew visually this was important. They poured budget into it and it worked from that standpoint as a purely visual scene. Here's the problem. Do you remember you played the game? I remember I was playing this in real time. So this is probably I've got to this moment in the game like the day after the game was released. Okay? And I remember posting on social media going, has anyone else been having big fucking man sobs listening to Aha today? And it got a big response. Because everyone knew what that meant, right? Because what this song was about was not a love story. It was about Dina does fall in love with Ellie during this scene. This is the part that confirms Dina's love. They're already together and they're already dating, but this is the part where Dina loves Ellie. That's not why Ellie's singing. Okay. And this is where I worry the series has lost a bit of direction. Okay. Because this, and we all cried for this, because this was Ellie trying to connect to Joel. And we
Mm.
understood that it was Ellie trying to connect to Joel because at the start of the video game, we had a flashback to when after the first game and into kind of their early days in Jackson when Ellie's still quite young, where Joel sings Perfect Days by Pearl Jam to her. If I ever were to lose you, I'd surely lose myself. And it's such an instantly iconic and touching scene that shows the connection they have, but also the connection they have through music that they've opted to omit from this story. And I don't hate the idea, the decision to omit it. I'm okay with it if they got it right. But now we don't actually know unless you remember a quick scene. If you've only watched the show and you remember a quick scene where Joel at the end of season one is like, "Oh, I'll teach you how to play guitar when we get back." You
Yeah.
no idea that they connect over music. So apart from Ellie having to just explain it through exposition of, "Oh yeah, Joel taught me," like no idea why she's singing that song. That song is a grief anthem. And actually, it's so important that the two people are on different ends. Because what's going to happen in the game, I'll try not to give too specific because I know we're kind of getting to the
Mm.
point you don't know. Okay. But what's going to happen in the game is Dina falls in love with Ellie. Ellie barely realizes Dina's in love with her. They do have a relationship, and even the pregnancy reveal is different because the pregnancy reveal, Ellie is angry at Dina, and they have a fight. They have their first fight because Ellie's like, "You're a fucking burden now," and she snaps at her because she's pregnant. Because Ellie is so
Oh,
laser focused at Joel and getting revenge for him. Do you know what I mean? And the tragedy of this story is that Ellie now feels totally alone in this world, which was her greatest fear. And actually, as is so often the case when people feel alone, you just have to kind of look around you for the people who are there for you. They're there. Your life is there. Dina's there. She's great. You love her. It's amazing. There's your life. There's your recovery. But you can't let go of Joel. And where this story goes is fucking phenomenal because of that. But that's the tragedy at play here. Because we didn't have that, this just felt like a love story. And we're
yeah.
missing that part in a way that now makes me worry. And that's why I asked you earlier, how often did you think of Joel? And it was literally only when they brought him up. And I was the same. And that's my note for this. I don't fault Bella's performance. I don't fault any of the visual styles of it. I don't fault any of it. You're never going to get Ashley Johnson because Ashley Johnson was able to weave all of that emotion. She's just a better singer than Bella Ramsey, but I don't criticize Bella Ramsey. She's trying to, impersonate Freddie Mercury at Wembley here. You're never going to get it, but if you get close, that's fair enough.
Yeah. It was in tune. That's all that matters.
Yeah, exactly. And even if it wasn't, it had heart, you know what I mean? She
Yeah.
did enough. Um, but yeah, I just felt it was missing quite a lot.
Do you think it's the show is kind of um I don't want to say like softened the story a little bit compared to the game in general? Because even Joel's death, I remember being way more brutal. I think in the game, I didn't mind the death that we got in the show, but I do think it maybe has softened it a little bit for TV audiences.
Do you ever do you ever hear a story that the first time you heard it, you laughed your ass off, and then you heard someone else tell the story, and it's the same story
Mm,
you enjoyed, but it's slightly different. It's just slightly less than because you're never going to recreate that.
it's when a band re-records one of like their biggest hits.
This
So
is the Taylor version of the original.
yeah,
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 yeah. That's what this is. And like, it's still great because it has a lot of the same great components. But now that's where I'm starting to worry. Whereas season one was a value add to all of that. It hit all of the notes we needed to hit, and then it added a few extra notes and a few little surprises and a few like hidden verses and stuff like that.
yeah.
But yeah, you're so right. It's the Taylor's version of
Mm.
the songs we know and love. You know what I mean?
I mean, I just because of how good season one was, I would hope like maybe they've got another plan figured out that they can get to the same place and surprise you, and maybe there's a different song or maybe there's a different
They can
moment.
easily do the flashback. They can easily do future days as a flashback, and
Yeah,
there was a definite creative decision to leave that out because the first episode was called Future Days, so they're
yeah.
telling us through that and not showing it. We've decided not to show it. We haven't forgot it. We've decided not to show it.
Mm.
Um, and they've done that to make it feel more tragic in that. everything's different. Why is Eddie not talking to Joe? What's going on? What's happening here? Why is it off? What's happening? And they'll explain that, but we're meant to feel off. And then when Joel dies, we're meant to feel like, fuck, they were fighting. Oh my God. Oh, fuck. Um, but even if we get it, it does, like, the moment is gone, and it was infused with the grief that Ellie was in, because we playing as Eddie, they make you play the guitar. You don't play all of it, but you play the first few chords of it. Um,
Okay.
we're playing that, and we're doing it to connect to Joe. We're like, because the last time we played guitar in this game, Joe was playing it when he sang to Ellie. So we remember that, and it evokes that in us, and we feel that, and that's what makes us cry, because we're so clear on where Ellie's head is at. And Dina's sitting there like beaming at her. That's cool for Dina, but that's not what's going on here. Ellie's trying to connect to Joel in the only way she can, through music. And the scene missed all of that. And that's,
Mm.
I'm a little bit worried as if it wasn't the people who wrote the story and a great TV showrunner who loves the story, I'd almost be worried of, do you know this story? But I haven't lost faith in the show, but it's the first time the show has left me a little bit worried of,
Yeah.
you've missed something big there, you know?
Do you also think it might be a little bit of a, when you play a video game, like you are the character rather than
Yeah.
watching a TV show, and maybe there's a bit more of an emotional disconnect watching the TV show potentially as well.
Yeah, and that's always going to be here, because The Last of
Mm.
Us, and then especially part two, is very much about stepping into the shoes.
Yeah.
Like, it's important that when you're Joel, the first time you go to save Ellie at the end of the first game, you shoot the doctor.
Yeah.
That's where season two and the idea for part two came from, because it's like the conversation we all had after the first game was, did you kill the doctor? Yeah, of course he killed the doctor. Well, you didn't have to. And then we all go, oh no, a horrible person. And that was the talking point that came from the gamers who played it. And that's why the doctor is Abby's dad. And that's why it's so important enough to kill Joel for. Um, so yeah, it is important that you play it, and you're going to lose a bit of that. But I just don't feel that we should lose it in service of a love story. You know what I mean?
Mm.
Because that's not what this is. This is a tragedy. This is Ellie loses herself to the need for revenge. This is Ellie is becoming Joel after he lost Sarah now. She is
Yeah.
hollowing out as a person, and I just don't feel that Bella Ramsey's Ellie is doing that. And that's not a criticism of Bella Ramsey, that's the script. This Ellie is making plans for the future of living in a farm with a baby and this and that and the other. And we need to get back on track. I just need more of that. I'm not saying it's a lost cause. I'm not saying anything like that. I'm just like, you're missing key notes here. And it's important. On the bright side, this was very much like the game. This was like almost shot for shot. The story was a bit condensed, but even the Isaac story, which is parachuted in, which confirms my theory that we're not going to see any more Abby until the very end of the season, because her concurrent story with Ellie starts after the Isaac scene. Like, that's the first time we meet
Okay.
Isaac in the game, and then Abby walks in and her story begins, and it's like, okay, this is interesting. So and there's a reason for that, and I won't get into it. Because yeah, play the game. But I just don't want to take that away from you. So we're not going to get Abby until the end of the season, I think, is confirmed, because
Mm.
because next week is going to be day two, or the next time we see Ellie in this timeline is going to be day two, and then there's going to be day three, and that's probably going to be individual episodes. And you
Are we
really,
halfway through now? Are we more than
yeah,
halfway?
7 episodes. There's three left.
Oh, it's only seven. I thought it was eight. Okay,
Yeah.
shoot.
Yeah. So that's
Mm.
that's what's we're not going to see Abby. We're not going to see her side of the story, and I think that's the right call, because it needs to be fleshed out. You're trying to fit way too much in, because there's a lot going on, and you can't know if you don't know what Abby's doing at the end of day one. Having her show up at all until that moment just makes no sense, because you're going to be like, huh? What the
Yeah.
fuck? But it's not the last we'll see of the wolves and the people we saw at the start as well. Um, any other thoughts from I was sitting watching the train scene, and I was just like, throw a bottle, throw a bottle. I was like, throw a bottle at them so the
Yeah.
clickers all run over to them, and then you've got a clear slate, man. I was sitting there like I was screaming watching that scene. What were you? How was yours?
It's like some of it was a little cliche, but in the best way possible for any kind of zombie thing of just that's the like the zombies' best. That's what makes them one of my favorite creatures in the world. It's just their numbers and they're relentless, and that is like they're just angry humans really, at the end of the day, and that makes them really terrifying to me. Um, yeah, so like I loved it. It I felt the pan. I also loved when they first got into the building. It felt like the game as well. Like some of the stuff that was abandoned kind of buildings, and you'd be like stealthing around and looking for people in different rooms as well, and figuring out how to kill them stealthily.
Yeah.
Loved that. I also like. I really enjoyed the tension. Oh, the can we actually talk about it as well? We never mentioned the dudes hanging from their intestines.
That's from the game as well. Yeah, that's very faithful. And I was wondering if they'd show that because I'm like, that's so graphic, and that's why they decided to do it at night because then they could do it through shadows. But it was still fucking sick. It
Oh
was
my
great.
god, yeah.
Yeah,
That was like as a horror fan that was like holy fuck.
yeah,
Um I also love like as Dina just vomiting like once again at the sight of
yeah.
anything gross like that too. Um but yeah, even I love that scene as well of Ellie sneaking up on the dude too and like actually showing that she's very competent in combat against a bigger opponent like we saw at the start of the season too
Yes.
for once compared to the last
Yes.
time. Where it's like, yeah, when she got completely surprised by Abby's crew, it was cool seeing her actually putting that combat to good use this time as well and taking that dude out.
Yeah.
And it was messy, and I liked that about it as well.
Yeah. And also like
It's like when you
there
fuck
are
up in the
scenes in
game.
the game where like Ellie is gonna go on murder rampage and kill like 100 people. Which is just not gonna fly. Like you can't do that in this. It's not gonna be realistic. There's just no way. It's not realistic when John fucking Rambo does it and it's Sylvester Stallone, Jack
Yeah.
for the fucking gills. Yeah, it was really tough for Bella Ramsey to pull that off, like, and actually maintain the kind of integrity that the game has. So, but having one vicious death of one person is enough because, like, in the game, like in any game, and it's just the nature of video game. It's like, hey, you just killed my best friend. I'm going to continue to walk around in the same circle I was previously walking around to allow you to strategize for how to kill me. You know what I mean? Like that's just gaming, and it's part we love,
Yeah.
and we're all used to it. But like one person dying of the wolves should be enough to send them into a raid. So you don't need to go whole hog with that. And I appreciated that as well. That Ellie killing one person viciously is the equivalent of her going on a rampage and killing 50. Um, I also love the fact we're getting to the theater. That's such an iconic part of the game. It's where you spend well, like it's the base for Ellie's time in Seattle. So we're gonna spend a lot of time there.
Mhm.
They basically go out on adventures and then they go back to the theater and go out on adventures and go back
Bit
to
of a
the
hold there,
theater.
yeah. Mhm.
Yeah, so it's yeah, it's I and it's very faithful. Like you cannot fault the set design and the
Yeah.
faithfulness to in the sets as well. Comparable only to one a movie that splits our opinion, and that's the Resident Evil movie that was out a couple of years ago, where I'm like, say what you want about that, but that Raccoon City police station looked like the fucking police station.
It did. It did. Through about everything else. It was absolutely wank.
But no, it is. They're getting this right, and you can tell
Yeah.
like the sets are nailed on. And else you need to add before we wrap up?
No, I think that's about it. I think we got all my theories and thoughts out.
Interesting.
Looking
Kev.
forward to. I'm just looking forward to the next one, man. And Andor tomorrow.
Oh
It's
yeah.
Wednesday's my favorite day of the week, man.
Kev, do yourself a favor. Play the fucking game.
I
Trust me.
know. I
Trust me.
know.
Don't experience this for the first time through the show because the show's missing things. And like the game makes you feel it and live it. And the show's missing things. And I'd encourage everyone else, like again, if you're similar to Kev and you're listening, you're like, I'll play it after. Like you want to experience this story first, feeling it, and then it's not even for doing these recaps. Who gives a fuck about it? Like we'll chat about anything, but like It's the feeling it. Whereas, like, if you see it on this show, it's not as good. I'm telling you right now, it's not. They're not doing this as good as they did it in the games. So that would just be my recommendation to even say one step. If you play one day of the game, that's how they're going to format this, and you'll
Yeah.
get the everything else they're going to have it, and you've got 2 days left in terms of day two, day three, and then the end of Ellie's day three is definitely going to be where they end this season. And then you're caught up and you got time. Trust me, just and anyone else listening, it's definitely worth it to experience it. Anyway, Kev, always a pleasure. End the plug before we finish up, or if you don't, do you just want to anything you
Um,
want to recommend or shout out?
oh yeah, we had our Cork show. We had to cancel it, unfortunately.
Yeah,
Was the
I
last
saw
was the
that.
last one. So that's been redone to June 13th. So if anybody's about Cork, on June 13th, we're playing Collins Bar. So come and see
Tom,
us.
loads of notice, Tom.
Exactly, Tom. Talking to you.
Tom, I'm telling you. We're giving you notice. There you go. Check it out. We'll link to Kev, and you can find fan club socials as well through that. At fan club band, am I right in saying on Instagram?
Fan Club Band and Fan Club Official. Different
Yes.
different ones, but
Yeah.
yeah.
There we go. But check them out. So, well worth your time and listen to them on Spotify if you never have before. Extra music. Kev, always a pleasure. We shall catch up very shortly about more Last of Us. I can't wait to kind of now parse through this. I'm also interested when you play the games or not. I like getting your theories as well. So I like that style of it. So whatever you choose to do, I'm happy with. But it's more a personal recommendation, like for your benefit.
Okay.
But anyway, we will be back. Another person I love chatting to is Jerry. We're loving our Andor this
Jerry,
season.
Jerry,
2 episodes
Jerry.
left. We will have Star Jers at the weekend for you with the penultimate batch of Andor episodes coming up, and we're also going to be discussing the May the 4th release of Tales of the Underworld, the miniseries, 6 episodes, 15 minutes each, released, giving you background on two particular stories of the Underworld, which we have, I'm sure, a lot to say on. Until then. He's been Kev Keen. Always a pleasure. Follow him on social media. We're linking everywhere we post this if you haven't already. I've been Ger Leggett. This has been page 180. And no one asked you, Jizz Boy.